Back in the spring of 2023, I reached a major milestone of collecting 100 platinum trophies after 10 plus years focusing on trophy collecting. But then I figured it was time to hang up the cleats, walk away, and retire from the sub-hobby of collecting trophies. But hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about coming out of retirement, getting back into the game, getting back into this sub-hobby of collecting trophies, and talking through the 9 platinums that I earned last year in 2024, how my collecting habits have changed going forward when it comes to collecting trophies, and maybe some goals that I have for myself here in 2025. But if you're interested in these trophy related videos, let me know and I can do more of them going forward, like some deeper dives into some of my favorite platinum trophies, the ones that were the hardest to earn, maybe some of my rarest platinums, and everything in between. But if you missed or did not see my Journey to 100 Platinum Trophies video, I'll definitely have a link to that down below. It's an hour and a half going through every platinum that I earned leading up to that 100th platinum, kind of my reasons for walking away from the sub hobby and needing to kind of step away for a full year. After I earned that 100th platinum, I took a year off of focused trophy collecting to kind of just ease my mind and just focus on playing games for different reasons. So you can check out that video. I talk quite a bit about that in that particular video. I'll link that down below. But again, today is more focused on why did I come out of retirement and checking out the 9 platinums that I earned. So let's go ahead and shift gears a little bit and get into my PSN profiles. Make sure that I'm look okay here on the screen. You can see everything okay, and we'll go ahead and get started. So here at the very bottom of the screen, my 100th platinum was the first Kingdom Hearts game as part of that 1.5 2.5 collection, and it took me 5 years and 6 days. Big shout out to my brother-in-law. He really helped me to grind out some of those more difficult trophies, but Kingdom Hearts 1 is my favorite game of all time. So I knew if I was going to earn 100 platinums, that 100th had to be special. And I also knew that I was going to walk away from the trophy collecting for a while. So I figured, why not go out on a high note? And Kingdom Hearts was about as high a note as I could go out on, being my favorite game of all time. But you know, one of the reasons why I had walked away from trophy collecting, and I still want to do a longer form discussion with a good friend of mine here on YouTube, Blinkoom, who has a YouTube channel of his own. He does a lot of trophy focused discussions, so I'll have a link to his channel below. But back in around 2020, he and I had a rivalry going back and forth on trophy focused on platinum collecting and kind of the first person that could get to 100 platinums. And that was a ton of fun in its own right. But for me personally, it kind of created some unhealthy habits for how I was approaching games, the types of games I was playing, and more than that, the games that I wasn't playing because I was so focused on trophy collecting. I outlined some of that in that Road to 100 video. But back when really earlier in 2024, I was replaying some of my favorite games. I was playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and I hadn't got the platinum in Marvel's Spider-Man 2. And if you know me, I am a huge fan of the first Marvel Spider-Man. I've gotten the platinum in the base PS4 game, and then I also got the platinum in the remastered version for PlayStation 5. I did not auto-pop that. I went back and replayed the game in its entirety, and even got the ultimate difficulty trophy playing the game for a third time as well. And I was really looking forward to kind of going back into the second game and doing all the side stuff that I hadn't gotten or done to that point. And I was kind of like in the midst of all of that, and then that's when I kind of got that itch to like, all right, you know what? This is a game that I love. I think the trophies in the Spider-Man games in particular are really trophy collecting friendly in the sense that you're not needing to go out of your way. I think they really help you to explore all the finer intricacies of combat. There's some combat specific ones that are pretty fun, and then certainly just doing all of the side stuff around the world. So that's a platinum that I think is to the player's benefit, because you really kind of get to see all of the greatness of that game by earning all of its trophies. And so that's the game that kind of got me to come out of retirement, but still going forward, kind of having this mindfulness with trophy collecting and determining which ones I want to, or which games I want to kind of 100%. And I think you'll see that kind of reflected in a lot of these games here. The next 8, I guess I'll say, that I earned in 2024. And the next game on the list is a great example of that here, Clive and Wrench, a little 3D platformer that was developed by a single person, if you can believe it or not. And it's really rough around the edges. There's quite a bit of jank and unpolish, and you see a lot of that as you play deeper into the game. It is not a very polished 3D platformer, but if you are a fan of those buddy collectathons like Banjo-Kazooie on the N64, this is a great game that kind of captures that magic, or captures that collectathon gameplay loop of the N64 PS1 era. And for that, I really loved it. It ended up being one of my favorite games, one of my top 10 games in the year it released back in 2023. It also came with a really nice like special edition, and I really just wanted to support that developer because I'd been following him on Twitter for years as he was continuing to put out gameplay clips throughout the development cycle of the game. And there were really only like 3 trophies that I didn't earn. So, I mean, spoiler warning for a 3D collectathon platformer. If you don't want to see these, definitely stay clear of them. And I'll make sure that you can kind of see these, make sure my camera and everything's okay here. So yeah, earned just about everything in 2023 as I was playing the game. But then there was one specific one where you had to like get through the entirety of a level without, so defeat every enemy in space between during a single visit. So that was one of the ones that I had to go back in and clean up, and then beat this boss without losing all of your health. And then I feel like there was one other one, but maybe it was just those 2. It looks like it was just those 2. So defeating all the enemies in a particular level in that single visit, and then defeating this boss without losing any health were the 2 trophies that I had to go back and clean up. So nothing too terribly difficult, but kind of going back to that theme in 2023 when I retired from trophy collecting, and this was just a few short months after I had done so, I had rolled credits in the game, and I genuinely didn't feel a desire to go back. I was like, really enjoyed this game. I'm okay shelving it. Those last 2 trophies sitting there wasn't something that was like eating away at me, like it was previously when I was deep into this sub hobby of collecting trophies. But after I popped the platinum in Spider-Man 2, and I was like kind of looking back on games that I was like either near completion or just games that I loved and wanted to kind of go clean up, this was one that really stood out to me of like, oh, 2 trophies, not too terribly difficult. I think it only took maybe an hour of my time to go back and clean this one up. So if you like buddy 3D platformers, check out Clive and Wrench. Play it on PlayStation or Steam because the Switch version is probably pretty broken still. And yeah, it's a good time, especially if you love games of that N64 era. Now, this one was a monster to go back to, or really just a monster of a platinum. Now, I've said this umpteen times over on this channel and on my podcast. Had a kind of resurgence of love for the Assassin's Creed series several years back when I played Valhalla, and that kind of led to me playing a ton of the Assassin's Creed games after playing this one. But these open world Assassin's Creed games are no joke, particularly Valhalla and Odyssey. Origins wasn't too bad. I think Origins only took me about 40 hours. This took me about 150, 180 hours to get the platinum, and it is like the worst offender when it comes to collectibles. the collectibles in this game took forever, and I'll probably actually dip out of the trophy list because I don't want to spoil everything in that game. But here's the thing. There's the base world in Valhalla, okay? And I collected everything. I think there was maybe 3 trophies that I didn't collect. And actually, you know what? This is focused on trophy collecting. So spoiler alert if you don't want Valhalla trophies spoiled for you. Because I do want to click in here and provide some additional context. So 2021 is when I played the majority of this game. It was like my holiday, Christmas, New Year's game that year when I had time off work. Went back to it in 2022 and was doing some of the side stuff, collecting more of the trophies. And then in 2024, so complete all territories. The map in Valhalla is massive. There's all kinds in Ubisoft fashion, check the box stuff that you need to do. Side activities, collecting certain things, everything in between. I did that in all of the regions and the trophy didn't pop. And I thought, you have got to be kidding me. Like, when I say it takes a long time, I mean like I did everything from a trophy perspective in about 80 hours. And it took me like another 40 to 50 hours to unlock the remaining 3 trophies. Like absurd levels of additional playtime. And the trophy didn't pop. And I thought, what the heck? You've got to be kidding me. So I was on Reddit and figuring out like, did I miss something? What did I miss? What I missed is that there are 2 additional regions that you can go into in the game apart from the main map. Midgar in Asgard, I believe. They're kind of like these fantasy realms that really play on that Norse mythology. And when you go into those realms, you also have to collect and do everything in those regions, which literally took me like an additional like 15 to 20 hours. Like that's how many collectibles are in this game. And this one, admittedly, do I regret it? Probably not. But it's one of those things that you're just so deep in that it's like, what's an additional 15 to 20 hours when I already have like 115 hours into this game? I might as well just clean these up, throw in a podcast, throw in a Netflix show in the background, and just burn through it. And that's exactly what I did. So there was that collectible trophy, and then there's another one where you had to beat everyone in the world in this dice game, which is not something that I typically like in games, card games, whatever it might be. But there's only like, I don't know, 12 to 15 people that you have to beat. And there was a YouTube video that shows you like a really good strategy for beating these people really quickly. So there's probably only like 3 players that gave me some trouble. And the rest of the ones, I used that strategy and I beat them in like 5 minutes or less. So that trophy wasn't too bad. Catch each type of fish in the game. This one was not fun. This one also took a couple hours. Nothing too crazy. And there was only like maybe 15 to 20 species of fish. But similar to those 3 dice players that like gave you a hard time, there was like 3 to 5 fish where it was like, man, I've been sitting here throwing bait into the water for like a long freaking time. If one of these fish don't catch the line soon, I'm gonna go nuts. And you can see like an ultra rare, like not many people have gotten that one. So that took some time. And then there's another one where, let's see, complete all territories. This one, perform a 150 meter slide in the snow. So this is when you have to like fast travel to the top of this mountain, and you have to like position the character's body in a certain way so he consistently like free falls down this hill for 150 meters. And you have to like move the analog stick a certain direction and keep it consistently there the whole time. If you move it just slightly, your character will stop moving and you won't unlock the trophy. So This is another one. Pull up a YouTube video, figure out the exact location you need to start sliding, and it's not too terribly difficult. But those 3 trophies were the ones I left unlocked for like 2 years. I went back to after coming out of retirement and was like, no, we're going to clean this up, even if it takes like a colossal ton of podcasts that I have to listen to in the background to do it. So, and this is another one, 51 of 93 trophies. Like, I'll never get 93 out of 93, but like, there is so much DLC content that I could easily pump like another 150 hours into Valhalla. Great game, weak story. If you love Norse mythology and you played like Viking Battle of Asgard back on the 360 and you're like, man, I want more of that type of like brutal third-person action RPG combat style, Valhalla is so good. Even if you only play it for like 20 hours, get that Viking fix and get out. Like, you don't need to finish the game. It's such a good time and just a breathtaking open world to explore too. I love that game. I really, really did love Valhalla. It's just the platinum that's just so brutal to get. Next up, Uncharted 2, The Among Thieves Remastered. This is part of that Nathan Drake Remastered collection. Love that original trilogy of Uncharted games. Love the Uncharted series as a whole. It's one of my favorite series of all time. And love the platinums for the Uncharted games. They're so fun. They reward experimentation with using all the different weapons. There's some speedrun specific trophies that you have to get on very particular levels, like Chapter 12. Beat it in 7 minutes. Nothing too terribly difficult. The hardest trophy, arguably, in that trilogy is beating the games on crushing, which maybe I'm in the minority here, but I genuinely like playing the Uncharted games on crushing difficulty. Not on my first playthrough, but once you've beaten the game on normal, hard, whatever your default difficulty setting is, playing the games on crushing kind of has this trial and error, Super Meat Boy kind of style to it, where, again, this is another one. Put on a podcast, you're already familiar with the story, you already know what happens. That trial and error play style of figuring out the best way to get through certain shootouts to continue to progress the story is really rewarding and very satisfying when you make it to the end and pop that crushing difficulty specific trophy. Otherwise, it's always a treat to replay these stories, so happy to add those to my my road to 200 platinums, which will probably take me quite a bit of time. The Wolf Among Us, Telltale's game based on the Fables comic. This is another one that I noticed I only had like 3 or 4 unearned trophies. Unlike the Walking Dead series of games, where it's mostly just play through the entirety of the story and you unlock those trophies naturally and get the platinum trophy. The Wolf Among Us is a little bit different. There's like 3 instances where you need to select the opposite dialogue choice. Naturally, in The Walking Dead, it didn't matter what your choices were as long as you got to the end of those chapters, you unlock the trophies. Wolf Among Us, a little bit different, where you do have to make that other dialogue choice. And there's only like, again, 3 instances of doing that. And fortunately, there's chapter select, so you can go in the chapter, quickly make that second choice, pop the trophy, move on to that next chapter specific trophy that you have to unlock. So while it took me 5 years and 4 months to get the platinum, going back in my return visit, maybe a total 1 hour of additional gameplay. So nothing too crazy. Next up, we have Operation Tango, one of my favorite co-op games ever. I played this, speaking of Blinkoom, he and I played this game several years back live on his Twitch stream, which was, I mean, if I had to rank the best multiplayer co-op experiences of my life, naturally you're going to have Halo up there at the top. You're going to have Rock Band up there. For me, Rainbow Six, Vegas 1 and 2 on Xbox 360. But Operation Tango is right up there as a top tier cooperative experience with a friend. And you have to play through this game twice. So you have an agent and then whatever the other role is. It's an asynchronous multiplayer game. Highly recommend playing through this game with a friend, but you have to play through the game twice as each person. And so on stream, live on his Twitch page, we played through the game in one way, and then off stream, we went through the game again. And He had a child of his own last year. I had a child of my own more recently, so it was tough over the past 2 years trying to find time for us to kind of get behind the sticks and really play the game, but we eventually did that. And then there was also some free DLC. So not only did we get the platinum, but you had to go through these challenge levels as well and earn bronze and gold medals, which is essentially like you had to finish each of those challenge levels in a very finite amount of time. And so we did that as well. Such a blast. Operation Tango 2, when? All right, when are we getting a sequel? Because my guy Blink and I'm sure we'll hop behind the sticks, maybe the microphone and camera, and play through a sequel at some point in the future. But terrific game, highly recommend it, and really happy to have that as part of my my road to 200 platinums, if you will. Next up, one of my top 10 games of 2024, Tintin Reporter Cigars of the Pharaoh. Quite a mouthful of a title. This is think Telltale's The Walking Dead and Professor Layton. It kind of blends those two gameplay styles in a game that is based on the adventures of Tintin comic book series. So a comic book series I loved growing up. You're kind of this young Indiana Jones-like character, kind of wandering this world, solving mysteries with your dog Snowy, in again, a very Professor Layton, Telltale's type game style. And this game is pretty rough around the edges. It crashed on me a couple times. I would say if you don't have an affinity for the source material, or you don't really love those kind of slower burn, puzzle solving type adventures, this probably isn't for you. And even from a platinum perspective, there was a couple of collectible trophies where I really had to go back and repeat, do some chapter select stuff. So while the trophies aren't missable in the traditional sense, you're probably going to want to have a guide up to get all of the collectibles. Otherwise, you're going to have to replay essentially every chapter to get all of these collectible specific trophies. But otherwise, you're going to naturally unlock a lot of trophies just playing through the game naturally. But yeah, pretty fun game for someone that loved the comic book series growing up, and you could see 1 week, 1 day, got the platinum pretty quickly. Last but certainly not least, we have Feather, and some would probably consider this a dirty platinum, but I mean this when I say I did not know that it was going to be such an easy trophy list. I was working one day, and my routine when I'm working is to find a relaxing video game compilation of music to play in the background. And I was listening to a compilation of music that was specific to water theme tracks. So think like Aquatic Ambience from the Donkey Kong Country series, or Dire Dire Docks from Mario 64. There was a water themed song that was from Feather. And I was sitting there working, and a song from this game Feather came on. And I was like immediately just struck by it and was like, whoa, this is a beautiful piece of soft piano music. What game is this from? And I saw it was from a game called Feather. I'd never heard of it. I figured it was some kind of Steam exclusive game. And I immediately opened up the PlayStation app and saw that it was on sale for like $3. And I was like, heck yeah, I don't even know what this game is, but by music alone, I want to give it a try. And as soon as I started up the game, I earned a gold trophy. And I was like, oh crap, this is probably one of those types of games. But what I will say, regardless of how easy it is to earn the platinum, I don't think that should be the driving force for why someone plays this game or doesn't play this game. I'd recommend it because it is this very beautiful, relaxing adventure game where you're playing as this eagle who's just flying around the sky doing a variety of these very easy on the mind missions, tasks, if you will. And it reminded me a lot of something like A Short Hike or Flower, where it's the perfect game to relieve stress, come down after a long day of work, turn this game on, turn off your brain, fly around this world. It controls really buttery smooth. You're playing as this eagle, again, doing these specific tasks to earn some of these trophies. Others just naturally unlock as you play the game. As you can see, I earned it in less than a day. I had to pull up at that point, I was like 2 trophies away from getting the platinum. I figured Well, at this point, I might as well just pull up a guide and figure out what I missed, because I unlocked most of them so naturally. But my goodness, what a beautiful, relaxing game. Kind of a mix between Flower, a short hike type gameplay in terms of how easy on the mind it is, and a beautiful soft piano soundtrack to go along with it. 11 gold trophies, you really can't go wrong at that point, but there might be some people out there that are like, no, I'm too good to have an easy platinum like this on my list. But for me, to add it as my 109th, no shame at all, especially for someone that has kind of gotten out of looking at the trophy list before I play every single game that I start. I would have never known that this was one of those types of trophy games, but I don't really think it is. Like, this is not a My Name is Mayo. It really feels like a just beautiful, relaxing indie game that's worth your time. So those are the 9 platinums that I earned this year. I will probably not go down my list and figure out what platinums I want to focus on here in 2025. I'll instead kind of just zoom out here and thank everyone for watching this video. Ask you, did you enjoy this type of video? Because maybe if people did enjoy it, I'll kind of go through my trophy list of games that I've not gotten the platinum on, and maybe some games that I want to focus on in 2025 and beyond, cleaning up. Just games that I love that I want to see more of, right? I think that's the beauty of trophies in general, and this sub-hobby of collecting them, is it helps you to discover parts of the game that you otherwise wouldn't have if you didn't go and seek out those trophies. So if that would be of interest to you, we'll pull up my PSN profiles list again, and we'll kind of just comb through the games that I've started but didn't 100% or have not 100%ed yet. So let me know in the comment section below. Give this a thumbs up if these are the types of videos that you enjoy, more podcast, easy on the mind in nature, and I can certainly do more of them going forward. But what platinums have you earned in the past year? How many did you earn? And what are your goals going into this new year? I'd love to hear from you down below. I want to thank you again so much for watching this video, and I will see you in my next one.